Hey there and welcome. Today we're going to dive into a skill that can totally change the way you read pretty much everything. We're talking about close reading. You know that feeling, right? You finish a paragraph, maybe a poem, and there's this little voice in your head that just goes, I feel like I missed something important. Well, you're probably right. So many texts have these hidden layers of meaning just waiting to be found. So, here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to become textual detectives. First, we'll get our mission straight. What even is close reading? Then, I'll walk you through a simple 3-step process to get started. After that, we'll examine the author's choices like they're clues, see how those clues create the bigger picture, and finally, we'll talk about why this whole skill is such a game changer. All right, let's grab our magnifying glasses. The whole idea here is to switch from being a passive reader to an active investigator of the text. So what does that really mean? Well, close reading is all about slowing down, way down. Instead of just cruising through to get the basic plot, you're hitting the brakes and focusing on the how and the why. How did the author make you feel that way? Why did they pick that one specific word? You're looking for patterns, symbols, all the good stuff that's not obvious on the first go-around. So, how do we actually do this? I know it might sound a little complicated, but you can really break it down into a super straightforward process. Just think of this part as your first case briefing before you head out to investigate. See? It's incredibly simple. Step 1 is what we call the first pass. You just read it normally to get the gist of it. But then, step 2 is where the magic happens. You zoom in. You read it again, but this time with your detective hat on, noticing specific words and sentences. And finally, step 3 is all about finding the deeper meaning, connecting all those little clues to uncover the big ideas, the themes, the stuff the author really wanted to say. Okay, this is where the real fun begins. Every single author makes deliberate choices, and these choices, well, there are clues. They're the key to unlocking what's really going on in the text. So let's look at some of the most important ones. First up is diction. Now, that sounds like a fancy academic term, but it's really simple. It's just about word choice, and it is so important. An author could say someone is happy, right? Or they could say they're ecstatic or joyful or content. Every single one of those words paints a slightly different picture and gives you a different feeling. And this right here shows you the power of just one word. Broken describes a state. It's a fact. But shattered? Oof, you can feel that. It suggests something way more violent, more final, and emotionally devastating. That single word choice tells us so much more about what's happening. So, when you're looking at word choice, think of this table as your detective's checklist. You're asking about connotation, which is the feeling a word gives you, versus its denotation, which is just the boring old dictionary definition. All of these things, the tone, the imagery, they're all clues the author left for you. Next up on our list of clues is syntax, and this is all about how sentences are put together. The way an author arranges their words has a huge impact on us as we read. It actually controls the rhythm and the pace of the whole piece. Just look at this, and you can feel the difference. She ran fast, her heart pounding. It's short, it's punchy, you feel that urgency, right? Now compare that to the second one. She walks slowly, taking in the view around her. The pace just slows right down. It feels calm. The author is literally controlling your heartbeat with punctuation. How cool is that? Okay, so we've been looking at the tiny clues, the individual words and sentences. Now it's time to zoom out. Let's see how all of these little pieces come together to create the whole picture. Imagery is a massive part of this. We're talking about language that engages our senses. So a dark, stormy sky in a story, that's not just a weather report. We all know what that means. It's the author creating a mood of dread. Basically telling us, hey, get ready, something bad is about to go down. And you always have to ask, who is telling me this story? The point of view changes everything. Are we getting a super personal, maybe even unreliable story from one character's perspective? That's first person. Or are we getting a bird's eye view from a third-person narrator who knows everything? That choice completely changes the information we get. And then we look at the biggest building blocks of all. What are the themes, the big ideas that keep popping up? How is the whole thing structured, and what was going on in the world when it was written? All of these things work together to build the final meaning of the text. So, after all of this detective work, what's the reward? Why bother analyzing diction and syntax? What's the big payoff for cracking the case? And here's the most important part. Close reading isn't about finding the one right answer or acing a test. No, it's about completely changing your relationship with what you read. It takes reading from something passive and turns it into an active, exciting conversation with the author and their ideas. Honestly, the rewards are huge. You'll start to appreciate the incredible artistry behind the writing. You'll uncover themes you never would have seen before. And most importantly, you'll gain this deep appreciation for the power of language, which just makes every single thing you read a richer, more connected experience. So, I'll leave you with this question. The next time you pick up a book, an article, even just read an email, I want you to think about the choices the writer made. Think like a detective. What will you read differently now?